Hello again, and welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Rural Report. I am your Rural 2IC, and today we're going to talk about Opsec. Now, some people are going to hear that term and they're going to get really, really excited. Some people are going to start scratching their head, going, "What in the world is that?" All right. Well, first of all, if you are brand new to prepping or if you're brand new to this channel, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and spending a little bit of time with me. And this channel is for the new and kind of the intermediate prepper, as well as the long-term prepper. We love everybody here. But I want to try, and my purpose that I believe is to get people started, get them going on the right path and trying to help them maintain that path. So, what is OPSEC? Well, that's just the shortened down term for operational security. Now, most people, when we start talking about OPSEC, is they start thinking about personal OPSEC. Okay, so that is doing everything of, the first rule of prepping is you don't talk about prepping, right? Uh, and anything that we talk about, remember, there's a two-sided coin to all of this. If you don't talk about your prepping, then you can't go through and bring people into your group, right? You can't build your mag. You can't do a whole lot of in-person learning from others and things like that. So you have to be able to talk about it, but you run that risk. You don't know the person that you're talking to, what their motive and intentions are. The same thing, they don't know what yours is. So there's a two-sided coin to all of this. Now, when we do OPSEC for a personal thing, you have to make sure that you utilize everything that you possibly can to your advantage, keeping in mind that whatever you use can be used against you. So, the basic stuff. Make sure you check your surroundings. Anywhere that you are, the second that you get up, you need to kind of quickly take inventory. Look around. Does everything look okay? While I was asleep, did anything change? Was there somebody here? And as you move around and do things throughout the morning and throughout the rest of the day, you need to make sure that things look like they should. They look normal. When you are going from the house to the garage or wherever, and you see a trash can has been moved, or maybe a few things of corn are now down, you need to be able to quickly identify it to the point of something looks out of place, and then you need to investigate it. Okay, was this some animal, or was this somebody on my property? You also need to make sure that you set up a way of a early warning system and deterrence. Now, you can do deterrence in a visual aspect. You can, like, things like signs and fences and things like that. You can go through and do uh, any sort of, maybe like a booby trap. You can do a visual thing to where, uh, you know, maybe you put up thorn bushes in an area, you make things more difficult, you board up a lot of openings. So that way, if somebody comes along and visually look at it, it's a lot of work. Remember, people usually take the path of least resistance. So if I'm just strolling along and I'm trying to look for a quick easy score, and I see that it's going to be an obstacle course just to make it to the house, and then the house is kind of boarded up, and all this other stuff, maybe there's a dog, this, that, it's a lot of work and effort, and I don't know what the reward will be. There's a lot of risk there. So that's part of kind of like an operational security measure. Now, while you're out and about, use things to your advantage of, use the shadow that the light casts. Okay, if you're outside, use the sun. If you're indoors, any sort of a light source or whatever, anything that's light will cast a shadow, right? uh, be aware of your shadow. Be aware of anything that's a moving shadow. Make sure that you constantly do it. You know, as you drive a car, you kind of glance and check your mirrors real quick just to get that 2 second thing in your head. As you're doing stuff, just kind of quickly take a little glance here and there and watch your shadows. Use reflections. Okay. If I'm interacting with somebody, try and find something that you can to check your own six. Okay. Now you can use shadows as well. You can listen for it and whatnot. But while you're doing stuff, you can find some sort of an object. Okay, whether that's maybe a car door or a mirror, some sort of glass. Anything that's a little bit of a shiny metal. It doesn't have to be crystal clear. It just has to detect that there's something there. Now, keep in mind that you now know about this, other people do too. So if you are trying to be sneaky and not in the nefarious way, you're trying to sneak around somebody or whatnot, you have to be mindful of your shadow. You have to be mindful of how you move and if somebody happens to catch your reflection and things like that. And so you have to make sure that you utilize what you use in this manner over into this manner. Okay, so there's a bunch of it. We can go into a huge detail. I already have videos on personal OPSEC and things like that. But to switch over, what about your mag and your family OPSEC? Okay, let's broaden the picture on this a little bit. You don't really want your child or grandchildren or whatnot being at school or at the park or whatnot and innocently start telling about how big your pantry is. Okay. And it could be completely innocent. One starts talking about snacks, and then your kid or grandkid starts saying, "Well, I've got a whole pantry full," or "Grandma's got a whole pantry full," or whatever, and they get to talking. Well, then that little kid goes and starts telling their person and another person, and before you know it, half the neighborhood knows. You don't need your wife or husband being at work at the water cooler and somebody saying something along the lines of, this, that, whatever, and they just let it all slip out. Okay. Then again, there it goes all around your work or their work. People are starting to learn about your preps and things like that. So there's a lot into making sure that the people that is in your group, the people in your family, the people that you are going to try and make it through SHTF understands operational security. Now, I understand, okay, little rural is 5. To try and tell him, hey, buddy, watch your OPSEC, he has no clue what I'm talking about. And so there's a lot of difficulties with it. But not everything has to be for the bad. Sometimes you can overhear that somebody has a pantry and does hunting and some other things, and it might be the door opening for you because you're going to use that information in a good way that you can go up and talk to them and figure out, hey, maybe we can work together. Maybe you're not going to be part of my mag, but maybe we can team up. Maybe we can become trade partners, or in the event of needing some help, we can help one another or whatnot. There's a lot of people that get confused with when the end of the world as we know it comes. My 12 people in my mag is it. No, you still have to make friends. You still have to barter and trade. You still have to have alliances and be neighbors and things like that. Um, if anything that history has ever taught us, as long as mankind has been on the planet, civilization comes back. There's a sense of normalcy that returns. People remember, okay? So if you was that real big a-hole, if you was the monstrous jerk, okay, you're just out here slinging whatever because you think that that's the way it's going to be during SHTF. When things start calming down and things start coming back to a sense of normal, they're going to remember what you did, okay? And that's kind of a part of an OPSEC thing. You need to be you, okay? Whatever it is that you are now, you need to be you, because people, for the most part, can sense fake. Okay. And if they can't, if you're the nicest person ever, but all of a sudden you want to turn into a raging alpha, um, when things return to normal, it's going to be very difficult, if not almost impossible, to return to the Mr. Nice Guy. Uh, and even then, then it comes down to what your character is and things like that. Uh, Different topic. So when it comes to your operational security, there's personal opsec. There's the opsec of your house, your dwelling, of your property. There's the opsec of your family, your friends. Uh, Things have to be able to be kept separate. Kind of that whole thing of knowing how to switch gears in between everything. You have to be able to vet people. You have to be able to kind of read the situation. There's a lot that goes into it, and it could be something that you have the greatest OPSEC. You've trained yourself mentally. You've trained yourself to be able to speak to others and different things like that, and you let something slip that you don't even know that you let slip. You think it's insignificant. You don't even think that it matters. And it's going to be one of those that you have to understand not only the things that you do when you speak out, okay? The audible OPSEC. There is visual OPSEC. There is actionable OPSEC. Uh, just because you don't go over and tell your neighbor all sorts of your secrets, um, doesn't mean that they're not watching you. And you have to have that visual operational security as well. If you're outside constantly doing this and doing that, and making traps, and doing all this other stuff, they're visually watching what you are doing. And when you think that nobody can make it on my property, nobody knows what all the different deterrents and the different things that I have and all that, they've been watching you that whole time. They're going to be able to probably navigate that minefield that you have, and I mean that into a different sense. But they're going to be able to navigate through all the different things that you have that as a deterrent and as traps and whatnot. Um, and they'll already know your schedule. They'll know what, about the time you go to bed. They'll know the time that you wake up. You have to be careful with everybody. I think, and this is going to be my humble opinion that I'm going to close this one out on, it's not going to be the scruffy guy coming up the street. It's not going to be the band of bikers, or um, the gang of hooligans or whatever, that I think most people are going to have to worry about. It's going to be a familiar face, is going to be the one. Okay. Remember, hungry, desperate people do desperate things. And just because you've known Mrs. Jones or Mr. Smith for the last 10 years, and everything's been all great, doesn't mean they're not going to get desperate. Okay. I really honestly think a lot of people's mistakes are going to come from a familiar face, and that's going to be part of your OPSEC. And one of the biggest things that you can do is to make sure that you understand the relationship that you have with these people. You need to make sure that people kind of have that level of trust, and when an SHTF situation comes, whether it is a small scale, it's a natural disaster or something like that, just because you know somebody, where are they? What tier are they? Number one, you trust them with your life. Number two, I have a pretty good trust, not a complete trust, but they're pretty trustworthy. Are they a level three? I trust them at a distance. I'm not going to let them get within 5 feet of me or whatever, but they're pretty trustworthy to a certain degree. Or are they going out there? I don't know who this person really is, and you just have to be honest with yourself. Um, there's a lot we could go into OPSEC. We could talk about it for hours, but I'm going to end this one here. So thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. I hope you got something out of this, maybe a little bit of entertainment even, who knows. But I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you have a blessed day. Stay tuned because there's definitely more information to come. And with that, I want to remind you, remain united. We're all prepping